right, we got me a cameraman. Just stay on one height. Stay on one height, Mr. Cameraman. Like that. Now come on down and show them what we're working on. All right. So yeah, so we're getting ready to prime this thing, and my buddy spots a little tiny crack in here, and it looked no different than one of my little highlights for a wave, just like that. It looked just like that, little tiny crack. So as usual, I went in there with a D8 and sanded all this out with a nice little halo. Looks like a flying saucer. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with any of this lacquer primer in here, but this is the last thing that was cracked. This is DuPont friggin' 2K primer, the very first primer they made in 1985 when we were building this. They came out with this primer, and what happened was they never tested the bloody primer, maybe a couple of years. So all kinds of painters I talked to, the primer is failing, and large sheets, you know, like large cracks, the shed is falling apart. On me, I'm lucky. I got this one here, was maybe 3 inches long, and I'll show you how we repair this. I do anyway. This works for me. And anyway, it's feathered out like that. So what we're going to do is mix a little bit of Dynaglass. Whoa, dummy. Oh, shit. We're going to mix a little bit of Dynaglass, and what I always do, and I learned this from a body man years and years ago, is a couple of drops of liquid hardener. And I'll tell you why. He told me that this is very important, is because it slows down the drying time in order to bite into, shit, I just grabbed the wrong hardener. I mean, this one's almost empty, but, oh, that's too much shit. I don't like it when I do that. Anyway, a little bit of dust won't hurt nobody. So yeah, so we thoroughly mix up this fairly stiff looking Dynaglass, because that's way too much hardener. I don't like it like that, but it's a small spot, so you'll have to do. Anyway, the more hardener you put in it, no, I'm not touching that. I don't want any more. The more hardener you put in it, the softer the material becomes later. So you can actually overdo it with a primer. So, just a little scrap piece of metal, because all my Bondo boards and spatulas are dirty. So, that's a lot more than what we need. So, we already cleaned this up. We blew it out. Okay. And yeah, so the liquid hardener actually goes in and literally slows down the drying time just enough to bite into the previous material. So in other words, you don't get that rotten kick of blue hardener right away. It does something to it where it literally laminates into it way better than just straight Dynaglass or straight Bondo on top of old Bondo, especially if it's like, say, 3 or 4 years old or something. It will not blend in and go 100% adhesion, okay? You can have major problems with that. So this body man that came to my shop from Toronto, I recruited him from there years and years ago. He told me about it and why. And yeah, if you're repairing a car and you're blending into old Bondo or old materials, you must use liquid hardener with it as well. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to wait for this to kick really good, you know, like I want it rock hard. Then we're going to sand it again into a halo. So in other words, make this spot a little bigger. The paint is going to get feather edged some more. And then I'll put a coat of filler on it, like Bondo, a little bit of Bondo, a little smidgen of Bondo. No spot putty. Don't use friggin' spot putty on shit. Shit that's more than 2 thou thick or something. Got a little dust in my throat. Anyway, yeah. So that's the last bit of repair that we have to do. Okay. So then tomorrow, now I'll fix this today. Today's Sunday, so I'll fix this right now, and then tomorrow I'm gonna sand it, water sand this whole panel, and start airbrushing, and we'll show you. I'll do that live because lots of people have asked about it. The last video yesterday that I put out had something like already this morning 17,000 views. So I'm going, okay, well, I might as well show them how and why this stuff gets repaired. So this panel here is the work that's on here is 37 years old. The last time I touched it with primers was 37 years ago. When we stretched it, that's when I went back over it in this particular area, because that's where the 10-foot mark is, somewhere around here, I think. And this is all original factory, my factory metal. There's no put on here at all, except right here on the edge. This body line right here. Wait. This body line here, because the panel was broke here and then welded into this edge, that's the only place that we had Bondo. So this whole side of this van got rendered with something like a quarter of a gallon of Bondo. So it only has Bondo around these edges. Of course, that's not saying that's the truth for the whole van, but I don't give a shit. She's 40 years old, and this is all I got to do. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, in order to fix and blend into old Bondo, always use liquid hardener. That is the law. That's what I learned a long, long time ago. And if you forget to do that, you might have problems. Anyway, that's that trick I learned from a guy years and years ago. All right. Thank you. Bye.